What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, Sideswipe's the Boss, back at it again with another tier list. And with the absence of new Star Wars content in our lives right now, I decided to, put a little bit of it in there and make a tier list of all the Star Wars content, or at least canon Star Wars content that's out there, which is mainly just the movies and the TV shows, but I also decided to include like 3 of the games just for the fun of it. So without further ado, let's just get into this Star Wars content tier list. And if you do enjoy this video, just hit that like button, it takes 2 seconds, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We are almost at 700 subscribers, and it is almost the end of March, so that's my little mini goal. I want to reach 700 subscribers by the end of March, so just help me get there. It'll get me a step closer to my 1,000 subscriber big goal, and the support would be very appreciated. So first up, we have Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And y'all already know where I put this at. This is my least favorite Star Wars movie, my least favorite piece of Star Wars content ever. It was such a bad movie. The only little redeeming grace it has is Darth Maul and the Duel of the Fates soundtrack. That's probably the only thing that this movie has going for it. And those 2 things don't even last long. So y'all already know it's going in the F tier. Can't change my mind about it. Next up, we have Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And this was also a really bad movie. People say that it's their actual worst Star Wars piece of content. But, I mean, it has a little bit more going for it for me. In terms of, that Jedi battle versus the droids. That was, a whole bunch of fan service that I enjoyed. Obi-Wan was cool. I like that. And I think that's really all it had going for it as well. But it was still a little bit more than Phantom Menace. But this is also going in the F tier. Just did not care for this at all. Next up, we have Star Wars The Clone Wars, the movie. And the movie was okay. I mean, half the movie was around Jabba the Hutt and finding Jabba's son, I guess, for some trade routes or something like that. And, I mean, it was a fine movie. It wasn't great or anything, but it was okay. It was like a good introduction to all the characters that we be hanging out with in the TV show. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. It was just an okay movie. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 1. And like I said in my little ranking for the Clone Wars seasons, you can check that out in the top right corner. There were not any bad seasons of Clone Wars, and Season 1 is no exception. It just gets better as the show goes along. So Season 1 is going to go in the B tier. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 2, and it was just a little better than Season 1. And I mean, it pretty much did the same things and hit the same beats that Season 1 did, but it was still good nonetheless. So it is also going to go in the B tier, but above Season 1. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 3. And Clone Wars Season 3 was a lot of fun. One storyline that I can remember vividly is, the one with the father, the daughter, and the son, who were supposed to represent balance between the dark side and the light. And then I think the daughter was the light and the son was the dark, and Anakin was the connection between all of them. It was a really cool storyline. Season 3 was a lot of fun, and that's why it's kind of on the higher end of my list. So it's gonna go in the A tier. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 4. And Clone Wars Season 4 was a blast. It had some of my favorite storylines, especially the Captain Rex storyline. Y'all know Captain Rex is my boy. And him versus Krell, him and his clones versus Krell, that was just a great storyline. But yeah, Season 4 was another fun season of Clone Wars. So it's also going to go in the A tier, but above Season 3. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 5. And this is my favorite season of Clone Wars. There are no misses this season at all. I mean, between the Darth Maul storyline, the droid storyline, the Ahsoka is framed for murder storyline, the one at the beginning, I think it was like the freedom fighters on that other planet. That was cool. Yeah, there was just no misses this season at all. And that's why it's my favorite season of Clone Wars. And y'all know it's going in the S tier. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 6. And these were like the lost missions, I guess. It was a shorter season, but it was still a cool season, you know, especially that Yoda storyline where he gets even more powerful than he already was, which was insane. But, I mean, it was still cool nonetheless. So, this is going to go at the top of the B tier, just above, I think, Season 2. Next up, we have Clone Wars Season 7, which is the final season of Clone Wars. And it was just a beautiful season. My second favorite season of Clone Wars. Only because it probably would have beat Season 5 if it was longer. But it was still just beautiful nonetheless. There were great tie-ins to Revenge of the Sith. There were great storylines. It was just beautiful overall. So it's also going to go in the S tier, but just below Season 5. Next up, we have Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And to me, it's kind of an underrated Star Wars movie. I really enjoyed Episode 3. It really is the peak of the prequels. And I mean, I know that's not saying that much, but I still really enjoyed Revenge of the Sith a lot. It was a great film. It had great stakes. Well, maybe not a great film, but it had great stakes, you know. The tie-ins to the original trilogy were there. There's some great fight scenes. And I just enjoyed the movie. It's definitely not perfect, but it's still an enjoyable Star Wars movie. So it's going to go in the B tier, just under Season 6 of Clone Wars. Next up, we got the first special appearance of a game in this tier list, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I'm not really sure if this game is canon. If someone knows if it's canon or not, let me know in the comment section down below. Because it's put in a spot where like nothing else really affects it except Order 66. And I mean, there's no other characters from any other movies other than Darth Vader. But it's still a fun game. I really wish it was canon, or I really wish it was confirmed that it would be canon. So this is going to go at the bottom of the A tier for me. Next up, we have Solo, a Star Wars story. And this movie was just disappointing. It was very disappointing. I don't really even know when we asked for a solo movie, and I mean, it was just disappointing. There were some cool moments, like I liked Donald Glover as Lando. He was funny. The appearance of Darth Maul at the end was cool, even though I don't know if it's gonna mean anything in the future or not. It answered a whole bunch of questions we didn't really ask for. So yeah, it was just an underwhelming film for me. So it's gonna go in the D tier. Next up, we're on Star Wars Rebels, and I do apologize if some of these don't end up being as accurate as I want them to be. It has been a while since I've watched Rebels, and I need to get back on that so maybe I can make a more accurate assessment of these. But to start off, we have Rebels Season 1, and it was a cool start to the show. I mean, I like that little Inquisitor villain in Season 1. He was cool. It was cool just getting introductions to the characters, you know, and forming their bond. So I'm going to put it in the C tier above the Clone Wars movie. Next up, we have Season 2 of Rebels. And this was better than Season 1 for sure. I mean, you throw in Darth Vader in there. You got Ahsoka. I think Rex and his crew was introduced in this season. I'm not really for sure, but I think this is when it was. Plus, you had that cool battle, I think towards the end of the season, versus Ahsoka and Darth Vader. Well, Darth Vader versus Ahsoka. That was a cool battle at the end of the season. So this is going to go at the bottom of the B tier. Next up, we have Rebels Season 3. And this was a cool season. From what I remember, I know there's like Darth Maul in there. I think this was the introduction to Thrawn. This is when like Sabine gets the Darksaber, and I think she hands it off to Bo-Katan in this season. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's a little foggy from here on out for Rebels, but I do remember like enjoying it a little bit more than season 2. So this is gonna go at the top of the B tier for me. Next up, we have Rebels Season 4, and I do not remember a lot that happened in Rebels. I just know about the cliffhanger for sure. It was a cool cliffhanger, and then this unambiguous ending. Well, maybe not unambiguous, but like open-ended ending where Ahsoka and Sabine are trying to find Ezra. It could have happened at any time, according to Dave Filoni, so it's definitely some questions that still need to be answered, but I'm going to just put it in the B tier, but just above Revenge of the Sith. Maybe in the comments section, when I like refresh my memory on Rebels, I will make a more accurate assessment of those seasons. Next, we have Rogue One, and Rogue One was such an enjoyable movie. It was different from like all the other Star Wars movies we had gotten before that point. It was just about a bunch of nobodies who become somebody. They all die at the end, yeah, but it's for a good cause, and they make their contribution to the Rebel Alliance, and it leads directly into A New Hope. So yeah, it was just a very enjoyable movie. So it's going to go at the bottom of the A tier for me. Next up, we have A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4, and this was like the first Star Wars movie we ever got. Technically, came out in like 1977, I believe. And this was a fun film. I mean, it was a great introduction to Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, all the cool kids. It had a good storyline, you know. This could have been a one movie franchise, because this movie ends kind of perfectly. I mean, I guess, you know, there's still, you know, Darth Vader still out there and stuff like that. But, I mean, it was still a good introduction to Star Wars, to like the general public. So I'm going to put this at the top of the B tier. Next up, we have Empire Strikes Back, one of the greatest sequels ever. And y'all know why it's going to go where it is. It's just a great film, has great stakes, you know, some great reveals. And yeah, it's just a great film overall. Really, really enjoyed it. So this is going to go at the top of the A tier. Next up, we have Return of the Jedi. This was an underwhelming sequel to Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it was still a little bit enjoyable, you know. You had the whole Luke and Darth Vader confrontation with, you know, Emperor Palpatine, the moneymaker Ewoks. There was also some cool moments on the planet of Endor as well. But yeah, it was a little bit of an underwhelming sequel, but it was still like a good conclusion to the original trilogy. So it's going to go at the top of the C tier for me. Next up, we have Star Wars Battlefront, the first one. And I'm not really sure if this connects to anything at all, but I just added it in there because if I was going to add the second one, then I might as well add the first one. And I mean, it was a fun game. I don't really remember there being a concrete story or anything. I think it was just like different battle modes here and there. So it's going to go at like the bottom of the C tier for me. It was fun, but I definitely like the second one a lot better. Next up, we have The Mandalorian Season 1, and this is just a beautiful show for real. You know, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they really brought this character to life, you know, brought Baby Yoda to life and all these other characters we fell in love with. And yeah, it was just a great show, or at least a great season of the show. Had a good villain in Moff Gideon. Had some cool stakes as well. Some very cool action scenes, emotion as well. And it was just a great season of television. So it's going to go in the S tier, but below these 2 seasons of Clone Wars. Next up, we have The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this was just beautiful. So much fan service in so little time. This season of The Mandalorian blew the doors of Star Wars wide open. You know, you got connections to the First Order, possibly. Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett. Who else am I forgetting? Bo-Katan. Like, oh man. A return to Mandalore, the Darksaber, Luke Skywalker. Like, oh my gosh. This season, this was beautiful. This was a beautiful season of The Mandalorian. I don't even think that season 3 will top it, in my opinion, whenever it comes out. But this is going at the top of the S tier. Season 2 of The Mandalorian is probably my favorite piece of Star Wars right now. Next up, we have Star Wars Battlefront 2. And I think this game is canon now, especially with, you know, the mentions of Operation Cinder. And Operation Cinder was a big part of the story mode in this game. And it connects to, I also think it connects to The Last Jedi, or at least it happened, the epilogue happened before The Last Jedi. But yeah, this was a fun game, you know. Got Iden Versio, she was a cool character to follow. Also, you know, seeing like the connections, you know, with Luke, finding that medallion and stuff. But yeah, it was just a fun campaign to play. So, it's going to go at the bottom of the A tier for me. I also still play that game, by the way. Just a whole bunch of like online stuff. Next up, we have The Force Awakens, Episode 7. And it was the most enjoyable of the sequel trilogy. I guess that's not really saying too much, but it was still fun to watch nonetheless. Kylo Ren was awesome. I liked Finn, even though he got screwed over by Disney. We're not going to talk about that too much. Han's death was emotional. I didn't really connect to Rey that much as most people did. I mean, she was fine, I guess. And I mean, the First Order is just like the Empire upgraded, I guess. It wasn't too much of a difference. The mystery around Snoke was cool, and I did like the Luke reveal at the end. That was cool as well. So this is going to go in the bottom of the B tier. Next up, we have The Last Jedi, and this is Rian Johnson's attempt to do something different with Star Wars, and it failed miserably. Like, I don't know what he thought he was doing, but no. No, this was definitely not it. I mean, it did have some cool parts, like, you know, that hyperspace crash scene, I guess. The fight with Kylo and Rey in that red room place. But yeah, a lot happened that the most Star Wars fans did not appreciate, including myself. So this is going to go at the bottom of the D tier. And finally, we have The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. And this film was a lot. I enjoyed some parts and other parts I did not. It was very clunky. I did think it was sort of a good end to like the Skywalker saga, but then at the same time, a lot of stuff was forced. But I mean, it was still an alright film nonetheless. So this is going to go in the C tier, just below the Clone Wars movie. So that's the tier list, folks. F tier, we have Attack of the Clones and The Phantom Menace. D tier, we have Solo and The Last Jedi. C tier, we have Return of the Jedi, Rebels Season 1, The Clone Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker, and Star Wars Battlefront, the first one. In the B tier, we have A New Hope, Rebels Season 3. I believe that's Clone Wars Season 6. Rebels Season 4, Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars Season 2, Clone Wars Season 1, Rebels Season 2, and The Force Awakens. A tier, we have Empire Strikes Back, Clone Wars Season 4, Clone Wars Season 3, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Rogue One, Star Wars Battlefront II, and in the S tier, we have The Mandalorian Season 2, Clone Wars Season 5, Clone Wars Season 7, and The Mandalorian Season 1. So that's the list, folks. Thank you guys for tuning in to another video of mine. Let me know in the comment section down below where you put all these Star Wars things at. Would you keep it the same as mine? Would you change it? Just let me know that in the comment section down below. Also, let me know what tier list you would like to see next. And if you did enjoy this video, just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.